Hello. It is sort of kind of nearly just about thinking about nearly almost raining. Just nearly. It's about that far off. It did do a little bit of raining. It didn't put the effort in that I personally prefer from my weather events, but it did do a tiny bit, and I'm hoping for quite a lot more. Quite a lot in that direction, tiny bit on me, and then I think the north is just still dry. So this week it's all weaving in a shocking twist. It's all weaving this week. This one has come off the loom and been wet finished because I knew we were having a warm spell and it would dry. I love a sock yarn on the loom. I don't love fiddly little fringes. This took ages. Worth it, it's worth it. I'm not a fringe doing person. I mean, I do them. I have to do them. I don't have to do them. I can do what I want. I prefer them twisted, generally, depending on the yarn. So it's worth doing. I just complain about it every single time because I'm predictable. But I do like a sock yarn on the loom. I like the colour changes. I'm creeping slightly out of frame. It's all fine. And I like the way that the colours interact with themselves on that wide stripe there. There were a few little tension tricksy moments. It's not a tension problem, but it was a little bit tricksy. And I have noticed that I've got, and I should have found one before I opened my mouth, I do have some floats on here. So I'll show you when I find them. They're definitely around. They would have been on the underside of the project, and that's why I didn't notice them. I did unweave a few times to fix floats. But you can see that green float there, just there. That's just where the threads haven't caught in properly. The reason there was some tension difficulties with this is because sock yarn has stretch, otherwise it would make terrible socks, and cotton doesn't. So the sock yarn on the loom was a little bit more flexible than the cotton was. Now what I do need to do is retie the fringe. I don't have to retwist it, but I do have to retie it. Because there was more shrinkage in the cotton than in the sock yarn, which I expected, I wasn't quite prepared for how much shrinkage difference there would be. So you can see there, I'm going to free my other hand so I can point to it for you. The cotton is quite short compared to the sock yarn. Now these do have a long end, but that's where the knots are. So it is quite a difference. So all I'm going to do is just retie these ends higher up to match the cotton and then trim them off. But I'm pleased with that. I like how drapey and lightweight it is. Look how drapey dance. Now, the big loom is back in play. Does that mean I cleared my table? No, I cleared half my table, which is a mammoth effort, and I'm very proud of myself. Did I completely clear it? No. I left flat things that I could warp. Because when you're warping a loom, you need like a bit of clearance. So you have to move things like sewing machines and balls of yarn. But you can leave flat things like scissors and sticky tape. It's all fine. So it is mostly cleared. It's cleared enough. The big loom is in play. I've got something very fresh on that loom, and I will show you that. Do bear with me. I've just realised that my tripod's broken. Anyway, this is how the big loom is looking. This is very fresh on the loom. You can see my waste yarn at the bottom here and my first row of hem stitching here. And then more hem stitching up here because I'm leaving these gaps. Now I'm not doing this to any sort of regular pattern. I'm just going to weave these sections. This is just plain weave. I'll weave until I feel like it's time to put one of these in, and then I'll put one of those in. And in order to, I don't know what they're called. I was going to say stripe, blank, I don't know. So, gap, probably better. So in order to make sure that this doesn't unravel and this doesn't unravel, I have hem stitched in bundles of 4. And that also gives it a little bit of structure. The reason I've done that is because I want these colours to be really, really obvious and bright. I love the colours in this warp. And I could have done it with floats, which is what I normally do when I have a colour that I want to highlight. But in this case, I thought, no, we're just gonna do this. It's going to be interesting. I'm not doing this to any pattern. I'm just weaving these plain weave bits until I feel in my heart it is time to put a gap in. Now, speaking of how much I love this warp, I'm going to tell you what this warp is. It is Hawthorne Cottage Yarns. It is a 10-ply merino. And its number, I think it's 2929. I will put a link in the description to the Hawthorne Cottage Yarns Etsy. I will not look at that Etsy myself because the last time I did, I bought some yarn. Now there was a bit of a difference in the dye lot, I suppose. One of them is a little bit more faded than the other. So my initial plan, which was to take one ball and warp in that direction from the centre and the other ball and go in that direction, I decided not to do because I didn't want one half brighter than the other. So they are mixed up a little bit. You can't really tell where the faded ones are. They're just slightly less vibrant. Not that I'm complaining, and I'm certainly not asking for a refund because it's all stunning and gorgeous. Now for the weft, You're thinking it's Bendigo Woolen Mills, and you're wrong. It's Heirloom. It's Heirloom Merino Magic. So my local yarn shop doesn't have a lot of yarn because it's not technically a yarn shop. It's a gift shop that has yarn, but they do stock the Heirloom brand, and I find that these weave up really nicely and they wet finish really nicely, and it's a perfect purple to go with this warp. So that is how the big loom, at long last, is looking. And I might or might not clear off the other half of the table. I haven't decided yet. I need to have a cup of tea and a think about it. And on the little loom, I have this, which is quite fresh. I've got that in the wrong hand, as ever. Quite fresh on the loom. You can see my waste yarn. You can see my hem stitching. This is beaded leno, which is not as complicated as you might be thinking it is. But I'm not going to talk you through how I did this. Two reasons. First of all, if I explain what I did without actually showing you what I did, neither of us is going to know what I'm talking about by the end of it. And the other reason is I already have a video on the channel on how to do this. I'll stick a link in the iCard or put a link in the description, and I'll have it pop up as the suggested video at the end of this video. It's not as complicated as it might feel. It is the leno lace structure, which is just overlapping. It's a finger manipulation technique, leno lace. I'm not going to show you because I've done the video on it. And then you pop the beads in place as you pass your shuttle through, because these beads are loaded onto the shuttle yarn. That's as far as I'm going with that. You can, if you're interested in more information, that video is available to you for free, as are all my videos. Now, this is going to be plain weave, and then I'll do another row of beads at the other end. And this yarn is Bendigo Woolen Mills, of course. Just because it's not on the big loom doesn't mean I'm not using any Bendigo. Bendigo Woolen Mills spring cotton in the colour fern. And it's a stretchy cotton because I'm going to try and show you. There we go. We're going to pretend, you and I, that I didn't just hit myself in the nose with my heddle. So it's a cotton with a texture, and I don't know that it's showing up, but you might be able to see that it is a little bit stretchy. It's got a lot of give in it, and it is sort of lofty almost. I don't know how they've spun it. It's not a tight spin, but what that does is make it squishy, and it gives it this sort of bubbly texture. So it should be quite a good weave once it's done. This should be off the loom by next week, probably. And that is all I have for you this week. It's getting very, very humid in here, and I need to leave the room fairly urgently. You take care of yourself, have a lovely rest of your week, and I will see you next time. Bye for now.